Hello, herbal friends and family. Welcome to this week's plant profile. My name is Gigi Febres Cordero. I am a current community student at the Florida School of Holistic Living, as well as a multi-passionate entrepreneur. I am an herbalist. You can see here behind me, we are currently in my apothecary. As well as a farmer. I recently acquired a small 3-acre farm where we are growing our food and raising livestock and growing medicinal and edible plants that I will be using in my products, as well as selling starter plants. So that is something really exciting and fun to look forward to. And aside from that, I am also an artist. But today I am here to talk to you guys about my newest plant bestie, Gotu Kola. So I just want to give you a rundown of kind of what the next 15 to 20 minutes will look like as we learn about this amazing plant together. I am going to be referencing notes because, as I will share in my personal story with Gotu Kola, it is definitely become a huge plant ally and a herb that I'm consuming on a daily basis, but it is still relatively new to me. So I did a bunch of research to share with you guys, and I learned a lot during that research, and I just want to reference notes to make sure that I give y'all all the juicy details of this awesome plant. But I'm going to discuss the history of the plant, the description of the plant, the benefits, the nutrition aspects of it, as well as the uses, and then of course my story with this plant, and we are going to make a little recipe together with it as well. So Gotu Kola, Latin name is Centella asteaceae. It is a member of the carrot family, and it's related to many other popular foods and herbs like parsley and cumin, fennel, and cilantro. So it has a pretty deep history that goes really far back. It is been around and used in traditional Chinese medicine and Ayurveda medicine for thousands of years. One of the first mentions of the plant that is on record is found in the Chinese Sinong herbal, which I am guessing it's one of the first herbal texts of Chinese medicine. And this is dating back to 200 BC. So this plant's been being used for a really long time. In this herbal text, it is noted as the fountain of life. And the legend goes that an herbalist consumed this plant every day and lived to be 200 years old. So I'm not quite sure I want to be 200, but it's pretty interesting to read about all the ways that it benefits us to help with longevity. In Ayurveda medicine, India's Ayurveda medicine, Gotu Kola is referenced as a pharmacy in one herb. And the more that I learned about this herb, the more I was blown away at the many benefits that it has to offer. And it's cherished for brain, nervous system, and memory support. So it's been used for cooking and as medicine in India and China, like I said, dating back to 200 BC. And the plant has also been referred to as an Asian pennywort. So that is it's a common name that you might hear of it used, Asian pennywort. So the description is it is a low-growing, creeping perennial. So let me just tell you a little bit about me as far as working with this herb. And it is an herb that grows prolifically here in Central Florida. It is one that we will be growing here on the farm to utilize and to sell starters of. But I have never wildcrafted this herb. So with wildcrafting, I completely understand the seriousness of needing to 100% know that what you are harvesting is exactly what you think you are harvesting. And my herbal background, the first 10 years of my herbal studies was done on a farm in North Georgia, where my original and first teacher, my spirit mama, lives. And I studied under her for many years, and only her for the big portion of the, like 10 years of the beginning of my herbal studies. And we would go on wild weed walks, and I would wildcraft with her and harvest and make medicine out of things like that up there. But the plants that I learned to do that with don't really grow here. And we have completely different plants growing here and plants available to us here. And my teacher has never lived in Florida, so she is not familiar with most of our wild herbs here. And because of that, I have never had the what's the word I'm looking for? Just the trust in myself to go out and seek out herbs in the wild. Not yet. I'm hoping to definitely find someone that I can study under that can take me out, especially now that I live in the woods. So when it comes to finding this herb in the wild, I can tell you what I've read about where it grows and what it looks like. And of course I've seen photos, and I know once I start growing it and spend more time with it, then I will be able to recognize it more. I do also know that it typically grows alongside dollarweed. And so dollarweed, of course, is much easier, I feel, to know that it's dollarweed. So if you're seeing the two together, then you're probably going to know that the other one is Gotu Kola. But just until you are 100% sure, you want to make sure that you are not harvesting something that could accidentally make you or someone you love sick. But I digress. So going back, it is a low-growing, creeping perennial. It has cupped leaves. So where it does look similar to the dollarweed, you know, the dollarweed is a full circle. This does not attach at the stem. It's actually opened at the stem, and it stands up a little, so it looks kind of like a cup. It is small, round, bright green leaves, and it can have white, light purple, or pink flowers. And it also produces a fruit, which I was not aware of. And it produces an oval-shaped little teeny fruit. It's very cute. It likes hot and moist climates, which is why it grows really well here in Central Florida. And it loves to grow near slow-moving waters. So it's typically stated that you can find it growing at like a water's edge. A little creek, maybe even a lake. I'm not 100% sure about that. It is considered sweet, bitter, and astringent. So the many benefits I will go over. The main one that had me fall in love with this plant is supporting the cognitive function. So it is known to improve overall cognitive function, which I can and will tell you my story on working with it in that way. Assist with anxiety, which I was not aware of. Calming the nervous system. It is a nervine. It is known to clear heat and dampness, as well as cool the blood. So a lot of this, of course, with its traditions back in TCM and Ayurveda medicine, we're going to be talking, this is associated more to within the body or even within the organs of the body. So to clear the heat and dampness and cool the blood. It is believed to be an alterative, an analgesic, a diuretic, an antidepressant, an antimicrobial, an anti-diabetic, anti-inflammatory, improves circulation, it's memory enhancing, increases longevity, and like I said, it's a nervine. It's also known to help with indigestion and stomach ulcers, asthma, diarrhea, and chronic fatigue, which is what I'm currently using it for post-COVID. It can be used for long-term. It can, when it's used long-term, it's going to help with that cognition and memory support. And short-term can be for alertness and anxiety. So what I mean by that is if you are consuming it every day, then long term, it's going to be helping with that cognition and memory. So that's something that's going to continue to improve as you're using it. Short term, what I mean is if you were having really bad anxiety in the moment and you took it, it's going to calm that anxiety within, 30 minutes, an hour, once it gets into your bloodstream, depending, of course, on how you're consuming it. A tincture is going to go straight into your bloodstream, so it might work a little quicker, where a tea has to go more through the digestion process. And same with alertness. So one of the ways that it's actually in one of our tinctures that we sell in my business, and our energy tincture. And I explain it to people, it's not like a caffeine energy, it's a mental alertness energy. So it's really great before you're gonna like sit down and work on a project or read a book or go to a movie or any sorts of things like that, where you want to wake yourself up and have that mental clarity and alertness. It is pretty nutritious. So it is used in raw. So in Chinese medicine and in Ayurveda, or in China and India for years, and all over Asia really, it is consumed raw, just as a green in a salad. I did just realize that I skipped over something that's really cool as far as in the history, so I want to go back to that really quick. In South India, the elephant's long memory is attributed to Gotu Kola. So that is what we're talking about with cognitive function and memory over long term. So it's something that they're consuming every day, right? In the wild, back in the day, before we had ways to research these plants and to study them in a scientific way, right? We just watched what the animals were doing and we copied that. And so that's what this is referring to. They're assuming that because the elephant is consuming this on a daily, regular basis, that is what's attributing to their long memories. I love elephants so much. Who doesn't love an elephant? Okay, so back to where I was. Nutrition. So calcium, you're looking at 171 milligrams. Iron, 2.6 milligrams. Potassium, 391 milligrams. Vitamin A, you have 442 micrograms. Vitamin C, you have 48.5 milligrams. And vitamin B2, 0.19 milligrams. So it is highly nutritious. It's a great green to, if you're harvesting it fresh or growing it fresh, you have fresh around. I did read, as far as storing it, that a really cold refrigerator can turn the leaves black and like pretty much kill them right away. So a great way, if you are getting it fresh, to store it is to put a glass with water and set the herb, the stems, in the water, and then cover it with like a muslin bag or a plastic bag or whatever, to kind of protect it a little. So as for uses, the part used is the whole plant, all of it, which I love. It can be eaten in fresh salads, like I said. The leaves can be dried. The leaves and the stems can be dried and brewed into tea, and it can also be tinctured. So my story with this herb, I learned about it. I decided to include it in our energy tincture, but I didn't really work with it that much until I was reading, and I could not find this. And please don't quote me on this, because I could not find my reference. But I remember reading something about the way that it works in the brain, that it can actually help rebuild the pathways of through the brain and the cells of the brain. And I was like, that's amazing. I need this in my life. So I was diagnosed with ADD at a very, very, very young age, went through the whole pharmaceutical thing, had horrible side effects. And growing up, school was just always incredibly hard for me. I was the person who would study 3 times as hard as my friends. I'd make a C, they'd make an A. And it was very frustrating, but I got to a point where I was like, all right, I'm done with having ADD. Like, I'm done with using this as an excuse. Not that it is an excuse. Everyone's path is totally different, but mine was always put on me as like, it's okay because you have ADD. And I was like, I'm not okay with that. Like, I can do just as much as the next person. And so when I went away to college, I went to community college first, and everyone pushed me to like sign up with the office as like someone with ADD to get extra time for tests. And I was just not okay with that. I was about pushing myself. And I just through that process, I really learned the way I learn. And yeah, it takes me longer. I might have to read something or watch a video 2 or 3 times, write it down, then type it up, then reread it. I need to use all my senses to learn something, but I wasn't going to put myself in a box, right? So I ended up getting into my dream college, Rollins, that no one ever thought I would be able to go to because I always made horrible grades. And yeah, and so that's kind of been my thing. And now I've fallen in love with education, and I pushed myself. Clearly, I'm a student, and I've done many different types of studies as far as health and wellness, nutrition, herbalism, all that. And when I read that, I was like, I need to start integrating this herb into my life every day. So I started taking my energy tincture regularly, as well as I created a tea blend with this herb, and I started consuming that multiple times a day. Let me tell you, I am not kidding, that I would read something once, knowing that I was going to have to go back and read it a few more times before it could stick, that I'd be able to reference it just easily in conversation. I would be either at the market talking to a client, on the phone with someone, talking to just people on the street, whatever. And this information just started popping back in my head. I was like, what the heck? I remember that? I remember that. I was so blown away with how powerful this herb really is at helping with memory and cognition. It's been mind-blowing, to be honest. So that's really my story with it. I will say I recently came down with COVID, and that kind of really knocked out all of my regular programs as far as herbs and supplements and my routines and things that I was doing every day. And I had to pick up a whole new set of herbs and supplements and teas to really help, my body fight this virus. And Gotu Kola kind of went to the wayside, and I could tell a difference. I really could. I was like, at first I was like, I think COVID's messing with my brain. I can't remember anything. And then finally my husband one day, because he's been taking it as well and has been so impressed with it as well. Also with fatigue, which I'll touch on. But he was like, honey, I think it's because you haven't been taking the Gotu Kola. And I immediately put Gotu Kola back into my life and into my daily schedule, and boom, my brain was back to functioning as well as it was right when I stopped taking it. As far as energy, and fatigue, I mentioned post-COVID, I am dealing with quite a bit of fatigue. I'm just having a hard time really getting going. So I've kind of upped my dosage to help with that. But where my husband has really benefited from it is he still works he owns his own business and works a full-time job, and he has to commute, and then he comes home and works on the farm. And so I started formulating a infusion or a tea blend. It's a combination of infusion and tea that I send him off to work with. And he says he drinks that second half of the day, when he's got a couple hours left of work and his energy's really just fallen, after lunch. It gives him all his energy back plus some. He has an hour drive home that he feels so alert doing, and then he gets home and goes straight to work on the farm and is working until sundown. And he says it's 100% the combination of this blend that I have made for him. So that's what I'm going to talk to you about now, and we're going to make some. I do them all differently. For my husband, I make the tea blend or the tisane, but this actually does have a tea in it, so it really could be a tea. And then I make him a nettle long overnight infusion, and I take the nettle infusion and the tea and I combined them, and that's what I send him off to work with, where I am just drinking mine straight as the tea. So what my blend is it is green tea. Green tea, I think, is a herb that everyone should be consuming every day with the amount of toxins that we are exposed to on a daily basis. I mean, cancer is on a rise, and there's a reason. And so green tea has so many powerful cancer fighting abilities. And so it's one that we consume multiple times a day. Because with just loose leaf green tea, it's recommended like 4 to 5 cups a day, where you could drink just 1 cup of matcha a day, because matcha is much more concentrated. And I drink both, but this blend is a green tea with Gotu Kola. And so I actually have these blended up together, the green tea and the Gotu Kola here. And then I add in Tulsi as well, as my, just a daily adaptogen. I didn't really, until I did this research, I didn't know that Gotu Kola acts kind of like an adaptogen in the body. It does work on the HPA axis and helps with cortisol levels in that sense, and our stress hormones, and getting us out of fight or flight mode. But it's also a stimulant, which is really amazing. Like, what else offers that? Nothing that I know of. You think of like caffeine from like coffee, and it can really affect anxiety and like really add to that anxiety, because it speeds you up in that way, and speeds your heart up, and gives that panic. It can give that panic attack feeling if you're sensitive to it. So to have a stimulant that's also a relaxing nervine is just, I mean, come on, does it get better than that? I don't think so. But I put Tulsi in the blend. I love the way it tastes. Tulsi is one of my very best friends. I grow her a lot. I have Tulsi all over the property here, and she just smells amazing and tastes amazing, and she's beautiful, and I love her. So I include her in this blend. So what I do, because we drink a lot of it, so I make it in bulk. So I get one of these big boys, and I take a reusable whatever it's called, reusable tea bag, and I just go and I fill it up in here. And then, oops, I didn't open this. I'm running low on Tulsi. My girl. Put some of her in. Top it back off. To be honest, guys, I don't really have a rhyme or reason. I'm horrible at measuring. I only do it when I have to in my business. And even that, my husband had to force me. My husband is my business partner in our apothecary business. And he's like, you have to follow a recipe, because it's a business. You have to repeat the same product multiple times. And I'm like, I just like to do what I feel in the moment. It's definitely the creative side of me. And then boom, tie her up. And here's the thing, like I do this different, like an infusion, a long overnight infusion, right? You would put the herb just in the jar, but that's because it's sitting all night, so it cools off. This doesn't have time to cool off because it's not gonna steep that long. So I put that in. Let me close these up so I don't spill water and ruin all of them. That would be sad. And then I get my boiling water, hold on. I just heated her up. And then I just pour it in. And what I'll do is I'll set a timer for like 10 minutes, 15 minutes, about that. And when my timer goes off, then I just use a fork or a pair of tongs or whatever I have handy. And I will pull the bag out. And then I just put it, I might leave it on the counter because it's still really hot and I don't want to mess with it too much. I don't want to drop it. And then I just keep it in the refrigerator and I can sip on it all day, every day. Normally in the morning, I drink this. I do add passion flower into the morning formula. And I have that hot in the morning, and then this I typically drink cold throughout the day. It's nice and refreshing. It gives you good energy. It keeps you calm and relaxed, and you are literally building your memory. It's an incredibly powerful plant, and one that I highly recommend all of you go out and get your hands on and learn about. And I will definitely keep everyone posted when we have babies for sale. So yeah, that's all I have for you today, guys. Thanks for hanging out with me. You can find me all over the place. I'm very social on the socials. My business is Luna Nueva Apothecary. We're on Instagram, Facebook. Our website is shoplunanueva.com. Our farm is Luna Nueva Farms on Instagram. And we are also on YouTube. If you want to follow our farm journey, you can check us out there. And my personal page is Gigi's Herbal Life. It's GIGIS_herbal_life. And yeah, so follow along, and I look forward to doing more of these. I really enjoyed it, and I hope you guys learned something. See you next time. Mwah. Bye.